Right, so hello, welcome back to the channel. And is Gianluigi Buffon the best keeper ever? I mean, the guy's been playing since the dawn of time, so I'm going to look back at his career, look back at his accolades, and also compare him to some of the all-time greats to see where he ranks up. And if you're new around here, share around and subscribe as well. We're trying to hit 200 subs as soon as possible. Right, back into the video. Buffon started playing football for Parma in November of 1995. I mean, that's 28 years ago. I mean, just to put that into perspective, Maradona and Baggio were still playing football at this time. Michael Jordan had returned to the Chicago Bulls after his mini-retirement to enter his second three-peat era, as well as that Toy Story had just come out. The PS1 had also just come out. It was a long time ago. So, in 1995, he made his debut for Parma in November of that year, and he played all the way until 2001 when Juventus came in with a world record fee for a goalkeeper at the time. They had money to spend because they just sold Zinedine Zidane for a then world record fee to Real Madrid, and with that, they then made their own world record fee for a goalkeeper, bringing in Buffon for 51 million euros. I mean, that's a lot nowadays to spend on a goalkeeper, but especially in 2001, to bring in a 23-year-old shot stopper for that kind of money, it was a massive gamble, but one that certainly paid off. Performance-wise, 2006 was probably peak Buffon. I mean, at club level, 2006 did not go very well for Juventus because they got relegated to Serie B, with a lot of their players leaving the club at that time as well. They lost the likes of Zambrotta, Thuram, Ibrahimovic, Vieira, and they even lost Cannavaro, the Ballon d'Or winner at the time. And a few of the Juventus players stayed loyal, and that included Buffon with the likes of Nedved and Del Piero as well. But 2006 was when he won the World Cup. And there were really big doubts about this Italian side heading into the 2006 Germany World Cup. Italy went out in the 2002 World Cup to South Korea. Along with that as well, they then in the 2004 Euros went out in the group stage to Denmark and Sweden. But alongside that as well, their captain and best player, the best defender of all time, Paolo Maldini, retired from international duty, and one of their best players in Francesco Totti was a massive doubt after having a leg break. And people look back at that Italian team and they look at the likes of Buffon, Nesta, Cannavaro, Pirlo, Gattuso, Luca Toni, Del Piero, Francesco Totti, who did make it at the tournament, and they're like, well, of course they won that with the likes of Zambrotta and Grosso at fullback, but that's only because you're looking at it now. And yes, they were a brilliant team, but a lot of the time as well, Buffon really had to step in and save them, and even though Cannavaro was an immense captain for Italy and he ended up winning the 2006 Ballon d'Or, Buffon was pivotal, and without him, they don't win that tournament. I mean, just look at that final. Yes, he got Panenka chipped by Zinedine Zidane, but that happens to the best of people. It's Zinedine Zidane at the end of the day. It's like getting chipped by Messi, Ronaldo, Maradona, Pele. He's one of the all-time greats. It's fine. But Zidane as well had the chance to fully immortalise himself in French and football history by being the best player on this French team, retiring at the end of it, and as captain lifting the World Cup. And it was Buffon who was pretty much man of the match and the reason it didn't happen, after a wonderful header from Zidane as well. Who could forget that Buffon save? So they won the World Cup in 2006, and Buffon even came second in Ballon d'Or voting as well. Now, there's only ever been one goalkeeper to win the Ballon d'Or, Lev Yashin, but you've not seen him play. I've not seen him play. No one in the history of football has seen this man play. They just use his name and say, yeah, he's the best. Not a chance. He's overrated dross, because the game has moved on and the game's evolved. So, hot take, coming in second in the Ballon d'Or voting in 2006 is a lot more impressive than winning it all the way in the 50s when Lev Yashin won it. It was also realistically the only reason that Italy made the final of the Euros in 2012. I mean, that Italian team was nothing special. And yes, they got beat 4-0 by Spain in the final. They really got turned over. But that is one of the greatest sides of all time against a very poor Italian side where Buffon was just yet again immense and carried Italy to the final. And now for some of his accomplishments. From 2001 to 2011, he was the goalkeeper of the decade. He won 10 Scudettos. He won 6 Coppa Italias. He won 7 Supercoppa Italiana. He won the UEFA Cup. He won the World Cup. And for all the individual honours that this man has won, go see his Wikipedia page because it is way too many to list here. The video would genuinely be about an hour long. He's also played 930 games overall in his career, and he's kept 501 clean sheets. Do you know who's in second? Van der Sar and Casillas, and he has kept 61 more clean sheets than those two. That gap is monumental, and it is huge. It might never be broken. So, realistically, who could actually rival Buffon and his 28-year goalkeeper journey? Well, I've already thrown Lev Yashin under the bus, and I've pretty much ruled him out because I think his time was way too long ago, and football's gotten so much better. You look at Zoff as well, the goalkeeper for Italy in the 80s, where they really had a fantastic team, and Peter Schmeichel in that regard as well as the 90s goalkeeper. But again, I think the game's advanced so much from the 80s and the 90s, and as good as a lot of these players were as well, and there were special talents in this time, the level of competition just wasn't as great, and at the exact same time, I don't think they've had as many big performances and the longevity that Buffon's had. So I think it comes down to 3 goalkeepers. So you've obviously got Buffon, but then you've got Iker Casillas and Manuel Neuer. And they've all got a different mould. I mean, Buffon is your very stereotypical goalkeeper, a wonderful shot stopper, brilliant leader, and he has got great communication skills and really gives the fear in the attacker's eyes. Iker Casillas played at the biggest club in the world, Real Madrid, for so many years, well over a decade, and he played in the greatest national side of all time. Yes, I'm taking Spain over any Brazil team that has ever lived. And he even made massive saves in massive finals as well. Then you have the modern goalkeeper, Manuel Neuer, the sweeper keeper, the guy who's going to stand at the halfway line, hands in the pockets for the majority of the game, but he can play with the ball at his feet, and I've maybe never seen a more solid, strong goalkeeper than him. They've all won the World Cup, and arguably, they were all man of the match in the World Cup finals in 2006, 10 and 14 respectively, which is quite weird really, isn't it? But it also shows just how you need a brilliant goalkeeper to win you the World Cup. Attackers are brilliant. Yes, they catch a lot of the eye, but the goalkeepers, they are the mainstays, and they are really underrated. And the greatest goalkeeper of all time, it's down to these 3. There's no ifs and or buts about it. It's them. If you want someone with longevity, brilliant shot stopping, and a catalogue of big games and big saves in those big games, then go no further than Buffon. He's your guy. If you want someone who can play under the biggest amounts of pressure at Real Madrid, where it's win or nothing every single game, the biggest club in the world, and Spain, an era where they were winning every single game, and it was pretty much decided that they would win every single game, who also is very good in these big moments, who could forget his save against Iron Robin in the World Cup final, then Casillas is your man. And if you like the modern goalkeeper, someone who can play at their feet, even though it gives me a heart attack every time I see Craig Gordon do that, Manuel Neuer is your man, and he's a proper sweeper keeper. He's almost like another player on the pitch. It's not just the 10 outfield players. He makes it an 11th, and it really can give your team an advantage. So, it all depends what you want and how you would order that 1, 2, 3. It's entirely up to you. My personal 1, 2, 3, I thought for the longest time it was Casillas because I was very young and I was very biased, but if we're talking in general, it's so tough. I'd put Casillas at 3, Buffon at 2, Neuer at 1. Don't crucify me for that. It is so interchangeable. And if you ask me next week, it'll probably change again. So, thank you so much for watching the video. Let me know who you think is the greatest goalkeeper of all time and what you think of Buffon's career as a whole. Make sure you like, give a subscribe and share it around. It helps me and the channel out massively. And if we could hit 200 subscribers as soon as possible, that would be brilliant. Thanks so much for the support on the recent videos. Cheers.